Let's dive into something pretty amazing today. We're doing a deep dive into the Sri Yathothkari Temple in Kanchipuram, India.
Ooh, sounds fascinating.
It is. This isn't just any temple, though. It's the 45th Divya Desam,
Okay.
one of 108 sacred Vishnu temples across India. Pretty special, right?
Absolutely. And I think what makes this temple even more interesting is its history. It's so intertwined with mythology and legends.
I love that. Okay, so before we go too far, just remind me,
Yeah.
what exactly makes a Divya Desam so special?
So the Divya Desams, these are considered incredibly sacred because they were visited and sung about by the Alvars.
Okay.
These Tamil poet saints who lived between the 6th and 9th centuries AD, they were totally devoted to Vishnu.
Okay.
And their hymns, their poetry is considered some of the most beautiful and moving expressions of devotion in all of Hindu literature.
So these temples are like living monuments to the Alvars
Yeah.
and their connection to Vishnu.
You got it. Each Divya Desam has its own unique story, its own connection to Vishnu, and its own set of legends and traditions.
That's awesome. Okay, so back to the Sri Yathothkari Temple. Why do we even begin with a place so steeped in history and mythology?
Well, even the temple's name, Vekka, gives us a clue
Oh,
about its origin story. It hints at this clash, like a divine power struggle, you could say.
hold on. You're saying like God versus God action.
Yeah, kind of.
Yeah.
Imagine this. Brahma, the creator god.
Okay.
He's in the middle of this sacred ritual, a yajna, and this is a big deal in Hindu cosmology. But then Saraswati, the goddess of knowledge, also Brahma's consort,
Okay.
she decides to disrupt the whole thing.
Brahma's own wife tries to mess up his ritual. What?
Huh?
Why would she do that?
You know, the story's not super clear on her motives,
Oh, okay.
but it says that she takes on this form of the Vegavati River, and
Okay.
she tries to just flood the whole sacrificial site.
Wow, that's hardcore. So where does Vishnu come into this?
Well, Vishnu, he's the preserver, right? He always shows up when things are out of control in the cosmos.
Well-
So he literally lays down in the path of the river using his divine serpent Adisesha as a cushion,
Whoa.
and boom, he stops the flood and saves Brahma's ritual.
That is amazing. Vishnu really put himself out there for Brahma. No wonder this place is a Divya Desam. You don't see a god just chilling on a giant snake every day.
Right.
Okay, but how does this connect to the name Vekka?
So the location was originally Vigavanai, after the Vegavati River.
Makes sense.
But over time, it evolved into Vekka, which kind of echoes Vishnu's intervention.
Wow, it's amazing how those names hold so much meaning. It really shows these temples are more than just buildings.
Right.
They're portals to these amazing stories from the past.
I love that.
Okay, so we've got a flooded ritual, a reclining god, and a name change that reflects it all. What else makes the Sri Yathothkari Temple stand out?
Well, this temple is also known for its devotees, especially a poet saint named Sivavakyar, who's also known as Thirumazhisai Alvar.
Oh, wow, a saint. This is getting good. What's so special about Sivavakyar?
His story is really one of transformation. He was abandoned as a child, raised by villagers, and he ends up becoming the super famous poet saint,
Wow.
totally devoted to Vishnu. His connection to the Sri Yathothkari Temple involves his disciple Kanakannon, and get this, a king who was obsessed with staying young forever.
Okay, a king. Tell me more. This is juicy.
So this king witnessed a miracle performed by Sivavakyar at the temple.
Okay.
The saint had actually transformed an old woman into a young one.
Wait, so the king, he missed the whole point of that miracle.
Wow.
It's about inner transformation, right?
Yeah.
Not clinging to youth.
Yeah, you're right. And, well, you can guess what happened next. The king demands that Sivavakyar bless him with eternal youth.
Oh, no. I can see where this is going.
Yeah, Kanakannon, the disciple, he steps in and he's like, hold on, if the king wants a blessing, he needs to go to the saint, not the other way around.
Seems reasonable to me. What did the king do?
The king was furious. He banished Kanakannon from the city.
Really?
Yeah. And Sivavakyar, seeing this injustice, he appealed to Vishnu himself. And here's the dramatic part. Vishnu actually leaves the city with his devotees.
Seriously? Like the whole city gets abandoned by Vishnu. That's a big deal. Did anyone even notice?
They noticed. The entire city was plunged into darkness. The king finally realized he messed up big time.
Oh, wow.
He begged for forgiveness. He pleaded with Vishnu, Sivavakyar, and Kanakannon to come back.
So what happened? Did Vishnu just say, okay, fine, and go back to the temple?
Well, he did eventually go back, but not without sending a message. When he went back to his reclining position on Adisesha, he switched sides. Instead of resting on his right hand, he rested on his left.
Interesting. It's a big deal for Vishnu to just leave a city like that. Adisesha must get nervous when Vishnu tosses and turns.
I know, right? But it shows how much the gods value devotion and doing the right thing.
Yeah, for sure.
That's actually why this specific form of Vishnu is called Sonavanam Seta Perumal, meaning the Lord who acted according to the wishes of his devotee.
Wow. Okay, so we've got miracles, drama, and even the gods making a statement. Is there more to this temple?
Oh, there's so much more. A lot of it comes from those Alvars we were talking about earlier. They have incredible things to say about this very temple.
Okay, I'm ready to hear it. Let's dive into those hymns.
So with these Alvars and the Sri Yathothkari Temple, we're talking about centuries of devotion poured into these verses that still resonate today.
It is amazing to think about. These hymns were written so long ago, and they're still so powerful. Why is that? What makes them so timeless?
I think it's their devotion to Vishnu. It was so profound, so personal. It wasn't just about rituals. It was about this deep connection.
Right.
And that really comes through in their poetry.
It's not just the words, it's the feeling behind them.
Yeah.
That makes sense. But there are so many Alvars, so many verses. Where do we even start?
Good question. Let's start with Poigai Alvar.
Okay.
He has this verse where he talks about how just saying Vishnu's name and remembering him in sacred places can wash away sins.
Interesting.
It's almost like a mantra, a way to focus your mind on the divine.
I like that. Less about rituals, more about that connection.
Yeah.
It's accessible.
Exactly. And what's cool is that Poigai Alvar lists 4 specific places: Thiruvengadam, Srivakuntham, Thiruvekka, and Thirukamvalur.
Okay, wait. So Thiruvengatan, that's Vishnu's abode on the mountaintop, right?
You got it.
And Srivakuntham is his celestial realm. But what about the other two?
So Thiruvekka, that's where Vishnu is reclining.
Right.
It symbolizes his presence everywhere. And Thirukamvalur is associated with eternally fresh flowers representing Vishnu's beauty.
Wow. So if you meditate on these 4 places, you're connecting with all of Vishnu's power.
It is like a mental pilgrimage.
I love that. Okay, so what about other Alvars?
Okay, so we have Pei Alvar, and he takes a different approach. He says, seeking Vishnu doesn't require extreme acts. Like, you don't have to live in a cave.
So no need to be an ascetic.
Not at all. He's saying true devotion is about the pure heart,
Okay.
not how difficult your actions are. He says just offering prayers and flowers to Vishnu in his reclining form at Thiruvekka is enough.
So inner transformation, not outward displays.
Exactly.
But why focus on the reclining form at Thiruvekka?
Remember we talked about how that posture represents Vishnu's peaceful, all-encompassing presence?
Right. It's a reminder that he's the preserver of everything.
Yes.
I love how each Alvar sees a different aspect of Vishnu.
Yeah.
It's like they each give us a unique lens.
That's a great way to put it.
Who else is there?
Well, Thirumazhisai Alvar seems really drawn to Vishnu's reclining form.
Oh.
He has this beautiful verse where he lists many temples where Vishnu is like that, including Thiruvekka.
So he really liked that reclining pose.
I think it's more than that.
What do you mean?
I think he's highlighting how accessible Vishnu's grace is. He's saying, look, no matter where you are, Vishnu is there.
The divine is everywhere.
Exactly. And then finally, we have Thirumangai Alvar, who does something fascinating. He connects Vishnu's reclining form at Thiruvekka with Krishna.
Wait, Krishna? The playful one who steals butter? How does that even work?
It might seem like a contradiction.
It does.
But it's a key idea in Hinduism,
Well,
understanding different gods as aspects of the one supreme being.
like different sides of the same coin.
Exactly. Like
Right.
water, it can be ice, steam, rain, all different forms.
That makes sense. So Thirumangai Alvar shows us that Vishnu can be playful too.
He's got many sides to him, and I think that's what makes him so interesting.
I agree. Wow, these Alvars were amazing poets. They packed so much meaning into their hymns.
They did, and their words add so much to this temple's story.
But it's not just mythology and poetry.
Right.
We also have some historical records, right?
We do. The Chola inscriptions give us a glimpse into the past.
Okay, let's get into that history. All right, back for the final part of our deep dive into the Sri Yathothkari Temple.
Yes.
I'm so curious about that surprise you mentioned. It involves Patanjali, right? The father of yoga.
It does. Most people know him for the Yoga Sutras.
Right, that's like the yoga Bible.
Exactly. But he was also a scholar, a grammarian.
Wait, yoga and grammar? That's a weird combo.
It is. But it's through his grammar work that we find this connection to the temple.
Yeah, okay, I'm listening.
So Patanjali, he wrote this commentary on Panini's grammar.
Okay.
It's called the Mahapashya. And in it, he mentions the Sri Yathothkari Temple.
Wow. So this temple, it's not just about religion then.
Right.
It's connected to philosophy and linguistics, too.
Exactly. It shows how important the temple was, not just for worship, but for, like, the whole culture.
It's amazing how it all connects.
Hmm.
The inscriptions, the hymns, and now even philosophy.
It all comes together at this one place.
Yeah, it's like a crossroads of Indian history and thought.
I like that, a crossroads. It shows how this temple is still relevant today.
It does make you think. This whole deep dive has been amazing. Divine interventions, miracles, poetry, even kings and their donations.
No, been a journey.
But as we wrap up, I keep wondering, what does it all mean for our listeners? Why should they care about this temple?
That's a good question. I think the Sri Yathothkari Temple shows us something about the human need for meaning. Whether it's grand gestures or small acts of devotion, we all want something bigger than ourselves.
That's true. And we've seen so many ways that faith is expressed.
Through the Alvars poetry, the Chola records, even in philosophy.
It's not just one way.
Exactly.
And I think it challenges us to look deeper, to see how everything's connected.
Like history, mythology, literature, philosophy, they all come together.
It's all part of the human experience.
Beautifully said. So as we finish our deep dive, I want to encourage our listeners to keep exploring, keep questioning, and keep looking for those moments that connect us to something greater.
I love that. And who knows, maybe someday you'll even visit the Sri Yathothkari Temple yourself.
That would be incredible.
It would. Until our next deep dive, keep seeking, keep learning, and remember, there's always more to discover.